Alright. Hello and welcome everyone to our painting stream. This is our Friday painting stream, and I am going to be joined shortly by my dad, who will be painting alongside me like usual. I'm going to keep working on this crypt that I've been painting, getting the base coats in before I start shading it up and getting it all started. Here you are, welcome. And these are our pieces we 3D print for our D&D game. This is printed here on the machines right behind us, and they are painted by us on the stream and used in our D&D show, which is at 2 p.m. Eastern on Sundays. If you're interested in the 3D models we're using, you can go to our website, dicendungeons.com, and check out our attributions page, where it'll show you where the creators of these pieces are that we print and paint ourselves. You will be working on
Viking house, which looks simple.
Hi, book streams.
Hi. Mainly wood. So I guess this first one I'll just paint wood colors, which should be like browns. But a suggestion was made that these panels, these inset panels, might be weathered yellow. So at the very end of the last painting stream on Tuesday, I painted these yellow, so I can play around with now different ways of making them look weathered.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I'm going to do is...
and you were doing some practices.
Yeah. I decided to go with the yellow, not the kind of pink color.
Yeah.
So I'm going to water down some white paint, dilute it, probably with some isopropyl alcohol, because it'll dry faster that way than with water, and try to make it like that, only better. And we'll see how that looks. I'm going to try this gray wash, which is a real thin paint, on another part of it, and I don't know what I'll do with the rest of it.
You'll figure it out later.
Yeah, I'll just put more paint on different things and see if it works at all, and if not, I'll paint it brown and make it look like wood.
I'm going to keep adding this ivory color around the outside edge of my roof here. And then I'll probably be painting this sort of grating on the underside of the roof in like a steel. But I wanna, so this will lay the base for what I'll later make into sort of a marble. Make this a very fancy crypt. So that's what I'll be working on. And I definitely see some cleanup to do on my little bronze statues, but that will wait until I have the other base coats on. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing. I have some ivory paint out and I'm ready to go.
So I'm going to make a puddle of white paint.
Do you need another cup?
No. I don't know if I put it in a cup or not. Yeah, I guess I will. I can always clean it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to take the paint from the cap here and puddle it on the bottom of this cup.
Are you thinking for lunch?
What?
Oh, they asked what they should have to eat.
Oh, sorry. I can't read the...
No. And as usual, the person wearing trifocals will not be answering all of the comments and questions in chat because he cannot read them.
Nope.
Well, I just had a late lunch of pasta that was shaped like a moose with Alfredo on it. So that might help guide you towards something. Either moose or pasta. So Yes, they were little moose head pastas that we found. So we thought they were fun.
So now I have some very, very thin whitewash that I am going to splatter on the yellow to see what happens.
And one thing I'm checking quick is that, yes, indeed, the crypt here, the roof overhangs a little. So one thing I'm going to want to do when I am done getting the detail in is actually put ivory around the outside edge. You're in an area with moose. I think we actually were getting some IKEA furniture for a set at an IKEA and saw them in their little like food section on the way out, so we thought they were fun. That's where we found our moose pasta. So it was Swedish moose pasta. Oh wow, yeah, do not hit a moose with a car.
Or give it a muffin. Or so I've heard.
According to the children's book. Moose and lobster, that must be like the Maine to Nova Scotia area. Right? Like the northeastern coast of the...
Yeah, that's that would be Maine and Vermont because they're landlocked.
But like also Canada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nova Scotia, that kind of place.
Maine. Yeah, you've been to Maine, right, Dad?
Mm-hmm. Nope. Visited, what was it, Bangor? Right on the ocean there. In November.
Before
after about 2/3 of everything closed, then the week before everything else closed.
Oh, because of weather?
Yeah, winter tourist season is over.
Tourist season. I think Bangor sucks as a place.
Why? At Bangor. Well, that's the... Yeah. There's some pretty areas in Maine. Well, we visited some sort of... I think it was a state or... Well, we visited Acadia. That was really beautiful.
I think they say there's too many hills.
In Maine?
In Bangor.
Oh. Acadia was beautiful. Drove around there. We couldn't get up to the very top of the hill. That road was closed because, I don't know, it was just closed. There wasn't any snow or rain or anything.
Oh, did you spend a lot of time in Acadia? Oh, Acadia Mental Hospital in Bangor.
No. No.
Yeah, I've never actually visited Maine, so I would like to get out there sometime. For sure. Although I'm not a huge fan of, oh, I'm sorry, it sucked. I'm not a huge fan of lobster, so I'm not sure how much I would enjoy the food.
Yeah. My wife had lobster rolls. And there was another restaurant where she just got a half a lobster that was all cut up into pieces. Basically, it was de-shelled. But the lobster houses along the ocean were closed.
Oh, because it was too cold.
Yeah, it was past tourist season. So
You're allergic to lobster? Yeah, lobsters always kind of weird me out, so I'm not real, they're like sea bugs, I think. So I was never particularly a fan.
Well, at least you can get donuts. I mean, they're not the greatest donuts, but they're not bad. I mean, donuts, in and of themselves, are a good thing.
Yeah, way better than lobster.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Okay. Well, one is with whitewash, and one is with blue gray wash. And I'm kind of liking the one with the blue gray wash on it, actually.
That does, yeah, it looks a bit worn. I think with wood beams next to it, it would look pretty good.
Yeah, should we try that?
Sure.
Should we paint them? The yellow is actually kind of a thin paint, and I'll put it on thinly so that the the gray underneath will kind of show through, which is good. That makes it look more leathery.
So I made this little sculptural piece in front of the grating into the white marble.
So, yeah, I'm going to get rid of the highly diluted white paint. I'll be right back, and we'll look. Paint stuff. See what happens.
Sorry for making you want donuts. Or you're welcome, depending on how you want to look at it.
So, I'm going to paint all the little horizontal panels yellow.
Yeah, have some lunch first and then see if you still want donuts after, right? That's very fair. So, unfortunately, these sides have a lot of little, like, insets and outset, like, I don't know, teeth? Whatever you want to call it, but, they're a little annoying because you have to make sure you get all of the little areas covered. And there's a lot of spots to miss. Yeah.
Yeah, that was taking on quite a project with that. So.
A lot of little details, for sure. With the sarcophagus thing, Crypt.
Yeah.
I think, isn't there okay, so sarcophagus is like holding one
like
burial,
one body. It's like a
with
box.
like a stone box, like a mummy,
like a
or something.
Box, yeah.
But a crypt is more like a multi burial.
A multi-sarcophagus burial. And a mausoleum
It's like a family.
Yeah,
or
usually
something.
it's like a family thing. That would be
I feel like I should start to get these terms down.
Like a crypt. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not an esophagus. I don't think it's a sarcophagus either. So this is more like a crypt or a mausoleum. What I'm painting.
Yeah, maybe mausoleums are big crypts.
Mausoleums are like extra large crypts, like, because you would have like the family crypt or something if you're like a noble, and then
the Taj Mahal
is a mausoleum.
Mm-hmm.
Or would a mausoleum be like what they have at like cemeteries with like a bunch of different people?
Yeah, that would be
buried.
That's a mausoleum too.
I don't know.
But I think crypt is reserved for like related people.
Fancy related people.
Mm-hmm. No, at least the crypt is fancy. The people might not have been fancy. They might have fancied themselves to be fancy. Oh, Tesla.
One of our cats is meowing.
Wow. That was pretty loud for you. You need attention? Mm-hmm. Have you had a treat today?
I would go pick him up, but if I do, he'll just run away and I'll have to chase him to get him. But he's being very cute on the floor.
Why don't you come on up and knock over some paint or something?
Okay. I'm past this one of the annoying great sides, it looks like.
No.
Okay, he's meowing, so I'm gonna see if he'll let me pick him up.
He likes to roll over on the floor and have a belly rub.
Yeah. There he is. Cat. Fan service. This is the Tabaxi god who likes to jump on the table while we're playing D&D.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He'll come and join us and show the audience his butt.
There's wet paint, so I'm trying to... Oh, lasagna's nice. I think we're having that on
Monday?
Monday. Yeah, here's our Tabaxi god. He's like, let me down. There you go.
Enough of that. Attention, but not on his terms. So.
Yeah. He likes to lead us wherever he wants to be pet. Alright, what was I doing? Painting. what I'm gonna do on this is the worst part and do the inside edge of the crenellation here, because that's the area I can most likely mess up. So I might as well do it before I get tired and sore.
Yeah, working on inside surfaces is always.
Mm-hmm. And I might need to do a little touching up. That's okay. Well, this will be easier to clean up from the other side than it will be to.
No, I'm not so glad that I painted the base stones early, because in order to get this, I'm getting yellow all over the.
Well, and one thing I think we should do with the base stones later is add in some dark gray random.
Oh yeah,
ones.
to give some of the stones a different color.
Some variation of color.
Yeah, since it's it's a pretty intricate and large model, we might as well make it look interesting.
And that's a pretty quick and easy sort of addition to do.
Yeah, we've done that with some of the red granite stuff.
We did it also. I did it on the last house I painted with a Tudor style.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? Alright, about halfway done with this. Oh. Yeah, did you say you're in college right now? I can't imagine that things are particularly great with like the Delta variant and everything in colleges and all that. Next month is when college starts. Yeah, I can't imagine. That's an easy time right now. Oh, I see. Yeah. Alright, so I've roughly got in the underside, the back side of the white here, so now I can move on to getting the tops without nearly as much danger. Just slowly work my way around this. You made a mess with your lasagna? Oh, hopefully it's not too bad. Sounds like the 3D print's finishing up.
One of them anyway.
It's good to let those cool a little before messing with them. I think Lexi was switching to doing the stone floor tiles.
Oh, instead of the
bases.
rafts. Yeah, we have a lot of rafts piled up.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're always useful.
As I went along, I just got sloppier and sloppier because who cares?
You sort of gave up as you went.
Yeah, and the other stuff gets painted over anyway. Okay, so I've got yellow panels, and then I'm going to get the blue-gray wash, and after they've dried, turn them into looking like the one in the middle there, the leathered one. And we'll see how that comes out, and then I will retouch the stone base and put some highlights in it, and then start painting the wood. But
carefully going around the feet of my statue here. Okay. Alright, so now I got the inside and the top done on my white marble. So now I get to do... I'm gonna wait till I switch to a bigger brush to hit this huge surface. Because that's just a lot to put on, and it's not really gonna run the risk of hitting anything bad. So I'm gonna keep going with my smaller brush while I have it along this side that I have to be a bit more delicate with and get into a lot more crevices. I'm going to get paint on my fingers just to make sure I make a mess later.
Mm-hmm.
It's always important to do.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yellow finger.
So, my sort of plan to make this white look more like a white marble is I'll probably very carefully put sort of take like a black. Oh, hey, thank you, Bowen. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask, but we're always happy to have lurkers. My plan to make this white look more like a marble, because right now it's just very white, is... Oh, thank you. Thank you for following as well, then. I'm gonna take a small brush and very delicately put in black marbling, I guess, just the technical term, but sort of black veins through the rock that the marble is made out of to create that marble effect before I weather everything down. Or this could be like an ultra fancy crypt, and I could have veins of gold going through the marble.
Ooh.
I just had lunch, but thank you for suggesting lasagna. I'm glad you got yourself cleaned up. Yeah, so I have this one last part to do, and then I'll take a bigger brush, get these outer edges that are less likely to get messed up. And even though it's not primed, I'm just going to put a little bit of the ivory along the outside edge here, because it will be slightly visible. There's an overhang on the model between the roof and the bottom part of the crypt, where we'll probably have to fight some zombies or a vampire or something, right? That's how it goes.
That's right. Otherwise, why would we have a crypt? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
We, get into the running horse cart.
Get what?
Like the commercial. Why can't we just get in the running car? But we don't have cars, so we'd have to get into the running horse cart.
I feel like this requires knowledge of a commercial that I don't have.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so...
Oh.
I don't remember what they were selling, actually, so it wasn't a very effective commercial. But...
I hope your Wi-Fi gets better, but, don't feel like you are causing a problem if you cut out or anything like that. This is all just for fun right now.
You're supposed to be having fun?
Are you? No, are you not having fun?
This is fun.
Okay.
Just confirming.
Oh, okay.
No, this part's good. I was just swapping yellow paint all over the place, and I'm swapping blue-gray wash over this swapped-on yellow paint, so I don't have to be careful about anything. So it's kind of,
That's always, yeah.
Kind of relaxing.
The initial parts of a paint job where you're like, I just need to get this base coat on, and it really doesn't matter if I spill over. It's like this. And then you get to the parts like I'm on, where you're doing a base coat, and you're like, I really can't make a mess. Or if I do, it's a lot of cleanup. Which has its own appeal, because you get to get like really focused in on what you're doing and sort of lose yourself in the minutia of it. Like I'm getting in between all of these little crenellated teeth on the crypt right now. And there's just so many little edges and sides and surfaces that I have to double check where I've been and make sure it's all covered. Things like that. And it takes some time, but it's not so bad. As I look at this model more and more, this little marble sculptural piece has a little band around the bottom. I'm thinking when I clean up the statues of making that band brass like other parts of it. Like the top and the statues themselves. And just sort of changing it up a little. Creating a little extra gaudiness in this crypt. A little pop of metallic in that area. So, because I think once I get through this ivory that I have put in a cup, I'll have to do a little touch up, and well, first I'll put steel on this grating. It looks like grating, at least to me. I'll make that a steel colored metallic, and then there'll be some touch up, and I'm kind of just tackling the roof first before I go too in depth on the body with all these sculptures and things. I've just put in some real basic base coats on some areas, but if I have enough ivory out, I'll probably use the extra that I have out right now to cover up some base coats like these pillars on the crypt. So yeah, that's sort of where I am at in my thought process. And I won't be able to add any brass bands until the ivory dries a little more. So that'll have to wait anyway. I always find old photos of myself very cringy. Yeah. And you're just going along, weathering down the...
I'm just weathering the yellow. I'm doing 2 coats of weathering.
Oh, okay. What color are you thinking of making the wood beams?
These? I was thinking that flat brown or the red brown. I think the red brown.
Red brown would be good, I think.
Yeah, and then maybe using the flat brown, which is a darker color. For like these big these diagonals.
Are you doing this part in yellow?
I don't know. Should I?
Maybe.
I didn't, but I could. And it's easy enough to do that. Would make sense, wouldn't it? Even though they're vertical and not horizontal.
I think it would make sense. Okay. I'm past the really annoying crenellations. And now it's time to carefully go around the sculpture's feet and try to not make too many messes for myself later while I get paint all over my fingers. Alright. Just for the sake of safety on this sculpture, I'm gonna use the small brush to fill in a little bit of this corner. And I'm gonna set that down for a second while I clean off my brush. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm gonna pull out this brush, which is really beat up and old, and I should really replace, but I haven't yet.
It's been suggested that these vertical parts up here and here be yellow like the horizontal parts below, which now look pretty weathered, don't they?
I think so. They have like a gray.
Yeah. And the grain comes out really well. They look pretty beat up.
I think they'll especially stand out once the rest.
Once the dark wood around them is put in.
Yeah.
But now I get to do some yellow. More yellow.
So I'm filling in this huge area with a larger brush, and then I'm gonna also get the bottom of the bottom of the roof a little, just so it's got the right ivory color. Going along. Hopefully I have enough of this ivory paint. I probably don't. I think I'll need to put a little more into my cup here. But I'm getting close to getting the base coat in on my roof. Which will be pretty great. Alright, and almost there. And we are done with this side. So, here is our what will be white marble outside edge, and this will all be toned down later when I weather everything. I'm also pretty much out of ivory, so I'll have to get the bottom later when I do the lower part of the crypt. I was about to say mausoleum, and I'm trying to stick to one.
Yeah, we decided it's a crypt, right?
I think so. I think we've come around to the idea that I'm painting a crypt.
Definitely not a sarcophagus.
So what I'm gonna do is take this steel color and I'm going to do these grates on the inside of the roof, the pitch of the roof. And things are a little funky because this is a very wet paint. I just gotta be careful with how much I apply.
So while I'm waiting for these triangles to dry so that I can weather them, I'm going to go down and retouch all of the stone parts down here that got yellowed as I was slopping that paint on. And then we'll highlight some of the individual stones to make them look like highlighted individual stones.
Great balance here. Let's see. I need like a little cup or something, but I'm using this one. Do you have one that's clear?
This can be. Just wipe off a little gray wash residue. Ta-da.
Thank you. I'll get like 2 drops of it, but I need more than I can easily get out. And this I have to be a bit careful with because it is
very thin.
A thin paint.
It wants to go everywhere.
Like that. Sort of soaks up into different spots you don't want it. But that's an easy to clean up area. So I'm not too concerned. I know that there's going to be plenty of cleanup here. And there's a lot of little crevices in this section of the print. So my biggest goal is to get the surface area filled in.
This touch-up is actually pretty easy. So I'm painting the gray part, and it's raised compared to the yellow, so I can just use the side of the brush and paint across it. I like that kind of thing. Makes it much easier.
Now, one advantage of doing this steel is that it's so thin, it more easily fills in all these small crevices than if I was using a thicker paint. I'm gonna move this cup because I keep almost going into the wrong cup. So that's loosely the difference with this metallic steel versus the still gray section of the roof. It'll just really darken it up nicely. this is the last area on the roof, at least, that does not have any paint on it. So I'll be faced with a choice between working on cleaning up and sort of getting this roof set up for being finished, or moving down to the bottom part of the crypt and getting that into a cleanup ready state. I sort of like to divide my oops, that was a mess. That's part of the cleanup process. Like I was saying, I like to sort of compartmentalize my painting into certain, like, sections, I guess. I'm not sure the right word, but I like to go get a base coat on, make sure the whole thing has the colors that you want in the right places. And once that whole setup is done, then I go into the cleanup phase where I make any spills or splotches that I did not intend to make. I will go in and clean those up, make adjustments, and then once it's in a sort of final stage, I'll go in and do any shading or weathering, which is sort of the finishing process for any given piece. And I feel like it's important, if you have two pieces like this that are getting glued together, to do the weathering especially all at the same time to get the consistency, even if they're not glued together yet. Because you don't want the roof to look like it's 100 years older than the base of the crypt, for example. So that's something I like to try and think about if there's, like, what's the story of the crypt? Has it been left alone? Has it been kept up? And it's just really ancient? Because that can sort of guide your weathering. So, like, something you might do when you're weathering your house there is think, like, where is this house located? Is it in a forest? Is it on the sea? Is it in a city? You know? Because that'll affect the weathering differently. If there's a lot of rain, maybe there's algae growth on the roof.
That could be.
If it's by the sea, maybe it has a lot more wind weathering and the corners of the wood are worn down more. Stuff like that. And the thing is, like, you know, it might not be that you use the miniature in that specific setting, like on a coastline, but thinking about those sorts of things really can help guide and give you a consistent weathering that makes the whole piece feel a little more alive. So there's my little weathering diatribe lecture. I don't know. Advice. Yeah, that's a nicer way of saying it. Okay, so I got the grading in. I'm gonna clean off my brush and do one last thing for the base coat, which is locate my brass and I'm going to try and just get a tiny bit, because I don't need a lot of brass right now. I will be doing a cleanup phase later, but I have this ring. Is that I think this side's drier. I'll start on the drier side. Just get a little bit of brass, get some on my finger, that's fine. And along the bottom of this sculpture, there's a little band that I think would look nice as a brass accent. So I'm going to carefully and slowly put some of this brass on top along it, shake a little and accidentally get it on a different spot. That's part of the process, and that will be cleaned up later. But for now, I'm just going to, nice and easy, try and get a consistent line across. Put a little brass highlight there.
Mm-hmm. The one on the other side? Yeah.
Not yet, but I will put one on the other side. And there are various spots for me to clean up, but there. So, focus, there we go. So I just added a little brass ring around this marble section. Since I have the brass out, I know there's a couple spots on these statues that just need a little touching up, so I'm going to quickly throw those on there. I know one of them got a little red on their wing. That I want to touch up. And before I do the weathering, I want to do a little touch up on the sculptures on this top bar, because I've been handling it a lot to hold things and just sort of worn down a little bit of the paint through repeated handling.
Oh, the dark grays there. I'm going to reach over and grab that.
There you go.
Thank you.
But there's a couple spots on these statues because they're a more complex figure that didn't necessarily get enough paint. They're a little thin. I'm just giving them a little bitty touch up. But here is my base coated roof.
Looks pretty good.
So this will require cleanup, some probably to actually do detailing on the marble, this white marble, before I do any anything too crazy with the cleanup. And once that's detailed and cleaned, I'll be able to move on to the weathering part of it. But since it's got the full base coat on, I want to move on to my base, the main body of the crypt.
And what I'm doing is I finished touching up the gray on the stones on the base of the house, and now I'm going to paint, I don't know, like a quarter of them, probably a darker gray. As a variation. Kind of try to be as random as I can.
it might be getting lower on the ivory. It still has some in it, but we might need to
Need to get more.
replace it a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be easier to find than it was a month or two ago.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Because I'm at least doing the corner pillars in marble and probably this sculptural part on the upper edge of the front and the back. I'm thinking I'll do steel for this framing, and this framing and beam, support beams, I'll do in a steel. And then these window sections I'll probably do in like a black or very, very dark of some sort. I'm not sure what I want to do with the statues yet, so I'm gonna hold off on those for a little bit until I sort of see what the rest starts to look like. They could be marble, they could be like a black stone, they could be a bronze cast statue that I like weather down.
They could be gaudily painted in
They could be
colors.
like a classic, yeah, like a Greek gaudy painting. But for now, I know I want to do these pillars and these little face sculptures in marble. So I am going to just start doing that. And how I'm going to approach this is because there's a lot of areas they're touching. I'm going to basically do an outline in this ivory with a thinner brush, and then once I get sort of the basic outline of the shape in, mostly without making a huge mess. I expect I'll make a bit of a mess, but once they're in, I'll take a larger brush and sort of fill in a lot of this space more quickly. But it always pays to be careful along the edges. And it gives you some more freedom to be a little quicker later on. So that's what I will be doing. Just gently laying in some ivory and already making a mistake. That's fine. That's something I can correct pretty easily later. And I think this place would have marble stairs leading up to the door. So I'm also, at the foot of the door here, going to lay in some of this ivory. Just trying to minimize the amount of cleanup I have to do later by being a little careful along the edges where the most contact is going to happen. And unless I wildly swing my brush around, which I've had happen before, I shouldn't have too many issues with splotches. I get, as I'm painting these steps, what I'm thinking about is like, you know, these are going to be some of the more weathered parts of the building because they're the parts that, when there is human interaction or dwarven or I guess whatever this setting is for this, when there is interaction with the building, a lot of it's going to be stepping on these stairs and wearing on them. Sort of like in some places there's like divots in steps and things where people have walked so much that they've worn down the stone, which I think is pretty cool. But it's something I like to try and think about as I paint everything. The how it's being interacted with, how it's being used in order to sell the piece and the story that you sort of subconsciously get when you look at it. And these pillars have these carved bands around them. I'm not sure. I might end up making those brass like I did on
spirals, yeah.
Well, not the spirals, but there's like these
down at
separating bands. I might end up making those brass, sort of as like a fancy looking reinforcement to the statue itself, or the pillar itself. So I'll probably leave those untouched for the time being and actually put an outline around the bottom of those as well. But knowing that I'm going to go over them with paint later, I also don't have to be nearly as careful as some of the other areas, like this corner, where I already have some red and gray paints that the less I have to fix later, the better. Alright, so there I have the stairs in the marble white, and I've sort of gotten roughly in the outside edges of the base of this white pillar. So the next thing I'm going to do is go up the side of the pillar, or I might start from the top and go down actually. It's a little easier to approach it this way. And I just want to try and get a nice clean line between this red and the pillar itself, because that'll make it easier when I'm filling in the rest of the pillar and not spread extra paint all over areas I painted before.
Okay, so I have pseudo-randomly painted some of the stones a darker color. So it either looks cooler or it looks like it's got pox one way or the other. And
so when you go through and wash...
Once it's washed, it'll actually look pretty decent. I'll keep going around here.
So I've just been going in and getting this inside edge. It's curved in it quite a bit. This side's going to be even worse because it's got like this door by it. So it's just gonna be we'll see how well I do sort of situation. I'm not expecting perfection as I do this. And one thing I can sort of consider as I go around, especially in these tight corners, is I can actually when I wash this and weather it, because I'm planning to weather it very thoroughly, these corners are going to be almost black in a lot of places where there's a lot of wash. So, like this spot I just made, I'll want to go in and clean up. But if there's a spot that's not perfect, but close enough, I can be okay with that. And the wash will sort of cover up that mistake later. So I've covered the pillar's outer edge here. Get underneath this band. So I'm going to do the same thing with the top, which will carry over through these faces along the top here. And then I'll take a larger brush and fill in all this stuff. And it'll look a lot more cohesive and less messy. But first I just want to get some of this stuff put in.
Something's going on upstairs.
Yeah, we have a dog barking upstairs. That's probably not getting picked up by the mic, but it is mildly distracting. So, as you can see, I'm just sort of carrying over loosely where I want the marble to be. And since this is such a big, complicated piece, I can already tell there'll be a fairly long cleanup process as I get all the little details in. But I'm going to take my fairly crummy, needs to be replaced brush and just start filling in some of this pillar to give myself a good sense of what it'll look like when I have all four done. And what I'll probably do when I get to putting in the marbling on this marble is pull up a picture of white marble on my phone and use it as a reference. Just so I can get sort of a consistent look throughout. The one big thing with any art is that never be afraid to use a reference piece, because pretty much everyone does it, and it always helps being able to see a representation of what you're trying to paint or what you're trying to draw. Can really change things. It's trying to draw like a horse from memory, almost always, unless you draw a horse that nothing but horses. A horse is really hard to draw from memory, I find. But if you have a picture, you can be like, oh, that makes sense, like that. So never be afraid to pull up a reference. Just make sure, especially if you're going for realism or sort of a realistic look, just referring to the actual thing can make a world of difference. So one of the great painters of France, Nicolas Poussin, who is sort of the father of the French Art Academy, and defined like the neoclassical or the classical period of French art, famously set up like whole mannequin stages to completely frame out his painting, and then he would look through a little like glass, like a little mini theater, in order to make sure his proportions and his figure shapes and everything were correct when he was doing his massive paintings. So if referencing things is good enough for a world famous French painter from the Baroque era, I think it's perfectly acceptable for anyone else to do.
Showing off your art history degree, huh?
A little bit, I guess. So, this is a little bit of a look, a little preview, I suppose, of what these pillars are going to look like. I managed to get one in. And these unpainted bands I'm going to do in the brass as well, I think. Just to break up the visual a little, give a little extra glam to the crypt, since it is not fancy enough already. Yeah. And I'm just gonna fill in over this space where I had started. Since I have this brush loaded. So that gives you a little bit more of a sense of where this crypt is headed.
Yeah, we're definitely going to need more ivory, though.
Yes, this is unfortunately taking up a whole lot of the ivory to do this much marbling.
Got some online shopping to do.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't too long ago you couldn't get anything.
Any paint? Yeah, there was a big paint shortage, at least where we were able to, when we were trying to purchase, and I don't know why. It might have been production issues or something, but I think it's eased up now.
We'll find out when we try to find the ivory.
Exactly. So that's a good sense of the pillars I'm doing. That means I have 3 more to do. I'm gonna mostly, because I don't have a ton of ivory out, I have a fair amount but not a ton, work on doing the outlining. I just wanted to do 1 pillar in full to get a sense of what it was going to look like in the long run. But I'm going to focus on doing outlines for now, which aren't going to be the most visually appealing part, probably, because they'll look all ragged and jagged. But it's a very important and useful step for a piece as complex as this crypt. So I'm just gonna finish this pediment up top in the for the ivory outline as I work my way over to the next pillar. Luckily, there doesn't seem to be any sort of sculptural pieces along the top of the sides, just the front and the back. So I won't need any marble in those areas. And with these faces, there's a little spillover and all that. That's not a problem, really. Because I'm gonna do this outer door frame in one of my metallics to give it a sort of a sturdy, reinforced look. What I might do actually for the door frame is use like our dark aluminum or something, which is a very silvery color. Sorry. And then go over it with an umber wash, which is umber is a brown. And that'll create like a rusted look to really sort of play the ancient look of the crypt. So as you can see, I just put a ivory outline along the edge here. The main thing I'm not liking about putting these outlines in is especially on the tops and bottoms of these pillars. They're very bumpy and ornate, which makes putting a clean line in very difficult. So I'm probably going to have to go in with the scarlet later and just redefine that edge a little bit more than I can putting in on the raised surface. But that's not a problem, really. And I have to go in with the scarlet and clean up things later anyway. That's just part of it. That is why I'm not in my cleanup phase yet. I am solidly in the base coat stage of my painting. So, going in along this, the statues are going to be especially interesting because they actually curve quite a bit around behind the statue here. So I'm like 100% sure I'm going to have to do a lot of scarlet cleanup after I put the statue's paint on. But I haven't decided what the statues are. I almost want to do like try and get them like a green copper look.
Oh, like a verdigris look?
Yeah. So like they were like a copper sculpture that has like really patinaed.
No, I bet the green wash that we have would work, but you need to get some copper paint that's
Not poison.
well
Less poison.
less than. 30 years old and
less than 30 years old and less than 100% poison.
yes. Not really that poisonous.
I wouldn't drink it.
No.
But I wouldn't drink anything on this table except my beverage. But yeah, some of those 30-year-old paints are really, the warning labels even back then are concerning.
Yeah, there was this wonderful paint that was used, especially in model frames, called Flowquill. They made metallics that were just amazing. No brush marks, flowed on easily, covered well. And basically it said you need to wear a respirator and not be near any fire or flames if you use it.
And try to have the minimum amount of loved ones.
Yeah, they actually ended up taking them off the market.
Because of how dangerous.
Because the solvents were that bad. Yeah. I used it once on one model plane. It came out beautiful. It gave the aluminum look really, really well.
But look what it did too.
Yeah, it aged me. I'm only like 40. No, that's not true.
I know. That's a joke. But it was like extremely dangerous material, apparently. Or like there's even now there's that model putty.
Oh, the model putty that we bought. Yeah, this is great stuff.
Which is also a Tamiya product, right? Like the paints we're using, but
yeah, this is a little model putty thing. It's supposed to be used to just fill in the cracks when you glue a model together, because sometimes they don't join up exactly right. But it says for repairing or modifying plastic models. It can also be used with wooden models. But then it has this warning. Let's see. Sure, I'll read it to you. It's really exciting. Flammable liquid contains organic solvents. Prolonged and/or repeated contact may cause irritation and/or dermatitis. Ingestion may cause harmful effects. Direct contact with eyes may cause irritation. Inhalation of vapors may cause certain central nervous system effects characterized by nausea, headache, dizziness, unconsciousness, and under certain conditions of overexposure, even death. So it tells you that, you might get a little irritation on your skin if you touch it, but
if you touch it more than once, you die.
But if you inhale any of the vapors, and I don't know how you can use it without doing that.
Without a super good respirator.
Yeah. Avoid inhaling vapors. Use in well-ventilated areas. Do not use with bare hands. Use it with a spatula and wear appropriate gloves.
Whereas some spackle.
Do not use near open flames or near children, because children in open flames pose the same level of danger. So yeah, that was a disappointment, because I thought, well, that'll be a real easy thing to use to fill in cracks and stuff.
So you can barely see it, but I've got outlines along these inside edges. So, this pillar will be ready to paint when I get to that stage. I just need to get the bottom edge here, the bottom part of it now. And these tops and bottoms are the most annoying part, because they have all this fancy molding work done on them, which it looks cool. but it also means that it's not easy to get a straight flat line where you want it.
You know what I get to do after we're done painting here? I get to do touch-up painting on the front door.
On the real life front door.
On the base of the front door, yeah.
Yeah. Not the front door of the house you're currently painting.
No. That front door is upside down. That front door isn't painted yet. Not sure when it will be.
Oh, I'm very sorry. Just trying to not hurt my back too much.
Just enough.
Just enough to know I did a good job. Alright.
Good job hurting your back.
Okay. I'm pretty much out of ivory in this cup. I'm gonna have to refill it. But, just for funsies, I'm gonna put a little single drop of brass out. I'm kind of curious what these rings will look like with the brass.
Okay, well, I poxed all the stones on the base. Now I'm going to weather the triangle area.
And these brass rings are gonna need a little clean up around the edges, which is just fine. I just wanted to get a sense of what my finished product might look like here.
You don't happen to have a clean cup there, do you?
No, but you could rinse them out. I'm
Okay.
done with that. That's a little dirty, but there's a brass ring. Definitely gonna need cleanup on these.
So, a couple of drops of this blue-gray wash makes the nose look weathered as well.
And my brass is sort of running a little bit, so it's a little messed up, but that's okay, because I'll have a cleanup phase later for all of this. Just to give myself a sense of the pillar.
Oh yeah.
The brass ran a little because
it's very thin.
yeah, and the ivory wasn't 100% set, so. But it's not a problem. It's just gonna take a little splash of ivory to clean those up, so I'm not really worried about it. And I made a little mess. That's okay. But that's because the longer I go, the more tired I get.
And the more messy it
And the
is.
sloppier I am, yes.
Mm-hmm. No, you just need to survive for another like 20 minutes.
Yep.
Being your usual informative and entertaining self. And I will continue to be my mostly silent and not very entertaining at all person.
Uh-huh.
I'm doing pretty well at that.
So, I have one pillar outlined, one pillar roughly put in. Holding upside down, there we go. On the front, what I'm gonna work on next is doing along the back here. I'm gonna outline these two pillars with the ivory. And my question, this central pillar, so on the back here, there's this central cracked pillar. Is that ivory? Is that marble? So this is marble, this part's marble, and this part's marble. This part is gonna be metal.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this cracked stone section.
Oh, yeah, and there's nothing like that in front because you have the door.
And there's nothing in the front but the door. So, is that also marble? Is that part of the upper part that's carrying down?
I think it would be. It's likely it would be marble.
So if I'm doing this part in marble as well, this central back pillar, I'll want to outline that as well. So I guess I just have to get to it. Looks like my roof is drying okay.
So what I'm doing here is weathering the bottoms of these panels a little darker than the tops, because that's how the weathering is done.
I think it's interesting you're doing all the weathering before putting all of the base coat in.
Yeah, well, that will
definitely not come back to bite you later.
Not be a problem at all when I put the wood in and never, ever, ever
mess up
ever.
No,
because then that would be a lot of work to try to fix that. Some of the really super
careful
good.
Otherwise, you have to weather all over again.
Mm.
Which I know you don't want to do.
No, I don't.
And we're just being a little quiet now because we're focusing in on our individual tasks.
Doing things.
I'm trying to, as I get longer in the day, I get a little less focused. I'm just trying to make sure I don't create too big of a mess for myself to deal with next stream. As I try to get these outlines in, the outer edges, especially on the tops and bottoms of these pillars where they're very bumpy and inconsistent. Because they have little carved designs all over them. And I know I'm guaranteed to have to go back and fix things, but the less that I need to do, the happier I will be.
And we want you to be happy.
I'll go along the edge of the pillar here. And it's a little funky. Usually you're, going with just a straight line. But because of the spiral on these pillars, it's a bit more of an up and down situation. To get the edge of the pillar and the edge of the wall.
Oh, pretty decent.
Yeah, it's looking good. I'm looking forward to you not having to redo any of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that too. I forgot to do highlighted stones on the chimney.
Yeah, so you're gonna get those in,
Get that in and then I'll
assess.
I don't know if I'll do the black wash on the stone, probably.
I would wait till you're done with the rest of the house.
Hmm.
Because you're gonna be running brown and stuff down these things, and you're invariably gonna hit the stone.
Yeah, certainly.
Okay. Now along the top. And they'll be slightly less annoying, but also still quite annoying pediment. I'm going along this top edge here, and I have to go down along, because this part will be all marble as well. very slowly working my way down.
Okay, well, now I fixed my chimney. And next time, all those wood strakes there and the window frames that need to be painted without touching any of the yellow, because I can't replicate the other yellow look, is what I'll be doing next. So,
And since we're getting to the end, but I still have a fair amount of ivory in my cup, and I don't want to just wash it away, I'm gonna start filling in some of the spots that I've outlined here. I'll just be using a nice big brush to do it.
I'm just going to clean these cups.
So I still have some more outlining to do, but it's gonna just take a little longer than we have right now. So, since I've done the work of outlining most of that, I'm gonna just go ahead and take advantage of that, fill in the top here, get in all the little cracks and crevices of the capitals on the pillar. Try to be a little gentle, especially down here, so I don't have to make too many cleanups. But this will let me really get a good sense of like the front facade of my crypt. Oops. Made a little mistake. Luckily, I made it on a spot that hasn't been painted yet. So, other than a little cleanup of red I have to do later. That section is going to be painted metal and will not be a problem. Painting it will be part of the cleanup process. So, and there's a little spot I messed up here. Alright, so that'll give you a sense of sort of the grandeur of the front of the facade. The unpainted section is going to be sort of a metal, a rusted metal, and I'll put more brown brass in. I only have a little bit of paint left, so I'm going to just start getting some of the back pillar that I outlined.
This should be a challenge.
At least you made it easy for yourself. Yeah.
Well, the worst that'll happen is I'll just have to repaint all the way.
Yeah,
Start over.
You just got excited about the weathering. That happens a lot. Trying to get all my...
So for paint shopping, we need ivory and copper.
Ivory and copper would be nice. Yeah. That's about all the paint I have. So I got... Well, I can probably get the very top. So. A lot of little bumps on these tops. So there's a back pillar too. So that gives us a sense of the front is going to be. This is all going to be metal.
Mm-hmm.
Here and here. Grass. So once that's all cleaned up, and then putting in veins of dark in the marble will be part of what I'll be doing going forward, and get a little sense of where we're going. I'll just hold the roof on top here. Here I can attach it to if we want. So this is sort of where the crypt is headed. Very regal. Sort of crypt. Yeah. So hopefully next time I will finish my base coat, have a decision on the statues, and
I'll be very, very carefully painting brown.
And then once I get all my base coat on, I'll be able to clean up for 500 hours. So, okay. Thank you everyone who lurked and everyone who watched and chatted, and
Thanks for joining in.
See you Tuesday, and also check out our live stream D&D show on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, where we use a lot of our things we paint here. All right, bye.
Okay, bye.